My wife and her best friend mocked me for years. After I found out they had a secret affair, I brutally exposed them in front of our families. I'm 35, and I thought I had a pretty good marriage, at least by most standards. I'd been with Ella, my wife, for over 8 years, and yeah, we had our ups and downs, but I thought we were solid. Not perfect, but what relationship is? She's 32, and I loved her, trusted her. But if there's one thing I learned, it's that trust can be the most dangerous thing you give someone when they're not worthy of it. Ella has this friend, Lisa, her best friend since forever. She's 36, and they've been close since high school. They were inseparable, like those best friends you'd see in a sitcom. At first, I thought it was great that Ella had someone she could rely on, a constant in her life. But over time, it felt like Lisa was always there, like some third wheel that no one invited but could never get rid of. It started small, stuff I thought was just them being silly, like inside jokes that only they understood. But after a while, those little jokes started making me feel like a punchline. They'd talk about me like I wasn't there, laughing about things I didn't get or teasing me over stuff they knew I was self-conscious about. When I tried to join in or ask what was funny, they'd just smirk and say something like, "Oh, you wouldn't get it, babe." The first time it hit me that there was something seriously wrong was during one of their so-called girls' weekends. They'd pull these trips out of nowhere, going to recharge or escape the dullness of daily life, meaning me apparently. And I'm not saying I was against her having her space. Everyone needs time away from their partner now and then. But the way they did it, it felt more like they were running away from me, not to something. And every time, I'd find out last minute with Ella saying, "Oh, by the way, Lisa and I are going to Cabo this weekend. Don't worry, we'll cover it from our account." By our account, she meant the shared one I'd set up for joint expenses, the one we both contributed to, but which I'd fill up every month. And when I questioned it, saying it would be nice if she could plan these things out or at least let me know in advance, she'd brush it off like it was nothing. "Why are you being so uptight? Every woman deserves a little recharge time," she'd say, rolling her eyes. They'd go on these little trips, splurging on luxury spas, boutique hotels, fancy meals, the works, all while I stayed home, working, taking care of our dog, doing laundry. The real kicker was 1 year. I finally decided I'd had enough of their trips draining my income. So I set up a separate account in my name only, one she couldn't touch. She went ballistic, accused me of being controlling, of not supporting her need for independence. The irony of it wasn't lost on me, but I kept my cool. I told her, "You want to have your fun? Fine. Just don't expect me to pay for it." Then there was the house. Ella and Lisa had this running idea that our house was their playground. They'd redecorate, move things around, tear down things I'd bought, things I'd picked out. I came home one day to find my office turned into a meditation room. All my stuff was shoved into a corner. When I protested, Ella laughed it off, saying, "Oh, come on. You never even used that space." It didn't matter to her that it was my space, or that I'd put time and money into making it how I wanted. So I went to a lawyer and had a legal document drawn up stating that any future changes to the house required both our signatures. She lost her mind. "You're being so petty," she said. "Why are you acting like I'm trying to take over?" I told her, "Because you are, Ella. This is my home, too, not just some backdrop for your little home improvement projects." After that, it was like a game for them. They loved hosting, filling our home with people. Her friends, Lisa's friends, even strangers. I'd come home to find our house filled with people, loud music, and empty bottles everywhere. And when I'd ask, "Did you even consider asking me before inviting half the city over?" she'd shrug and say, "Oh, come on, you never join us anyway." One time, I had to stay at a hotel because they'd taken over the entire house for a party, and when I mentioned how frustrating it was, she looked at me like I was the one being unreasonable. After one particularly bad night, when I'd spent hours cleaning up after one of their parties, I told her enough was enough. I made a rule. No more surprise gatherings without both of us agreeing. When she broke that rule again, I canceled her next planned party. She was furious, accused me of being controlling, of not letting her live her life. But I told her, if this is how you want to live, do it without disrespecting my home. I tried to put it behind me, but things kept getting worse. There was always Lisa, always more girls' nights, always some excuse to make me feel like I wasn't enough for her. And maybe deep down I knew what was happening. I just didn't want to see it. One night, though, it all fell apart. Ella was in the shower, and her phone was buzzing like crazy on the nightstand. I'm not proud of it, but I picked it up. And there it was, texts between her and Lisa, messages that left no doubt. Explicit, dirty, hundreds of them. Photos, too. And worst of all, these were sprinkled with jokes about me, laughing about my boring life, my cluelessness, mocking how out of touch I was with their real relationship. Ella stayed with me because I was safe, stable. She wanted the appearance of a happy marriage, but all the thrills of something else. All those times they'd laughed, the looks, the smirks, the inside jokes, right in front of me. It was because they thought I'd never catch on. I waited until she got out of the shower and was getting dressed. Then I handed her phone back to her, opened to one of the messages. She just stared at me, face pale. She tried to talk, stammering out some excuse, but I wasn't having it. I told her I was done, that I'd be talking to a lawyer, and she could explain to her family and friends why we were splitting up. She broke down, said she was sorry, that she hadn't meant for it to go so far. It was just something different, she said. But that didn't make it better. I'd spent years being the butt of her jokes, the safe husband who'd never catch on. Now, I was just done. Ella's parents were having a big family dinner a week later, and I knew it was my chance to set the record straight. Ella tried to talk me out of going, but I went, smiling and making small talk like everything was fine. After the main course, I cleared my throat and said I had something to share. I pulled out printed screenshots, photos, the whole thing, and spread them across the table. Her parents looked at her, horrified. Her mom was speechless. Her dad's face went bright red, and Lisa just sat there, like she couldn't believe I'd actually done it. I thought you all should know what kind of marriage we actually had, I said. I looked right at Ella and told her, you made a fool out of me for years, laughed at me behind my back. I hope it was worth it. Ella's dad was furious. He turned to her, demanding to know if it was true, and when she admitted it, he told her to leave. Lisa tried to jump in, saying it was complicated, but Ella's mom cut her off, saying, so you think it's fine to humiliate him in front of everyone? I left that night feeling like I'd finally gotten a bit of control back. But Ella wasn't done. She called, saying we should keep things civil for the sake of appearances, as if I'd want to go around pretending nothing happened. I told her that was her mess, not mine. Ella tried to act like she was the victim, asking me if we could just act like adults and avoid creating unnecessary drama. She didn't get it, not really. I told her flat out, the only person you need to worry about impressing is yourself, Ella, because you're on your own now. I blocked her number after that, needing some peace. But that didn't stop her from trying to rope me back in with her entitlement and more of the same behavior. She kept reaching out, trying to keep a grip on our house, our stuff, even our dog. And every time, she managed to top herself with the kind of gall I didn't think was possible. First, she tried to get back into the house. She and Lisa had nowhere else to go and argued that, since they'd built so many memories in our place, it was only fair they should get to stay. It was laughable, really. I'd been the one footing the bills, fixing the broken pipes, doing the yard work, but somehow they thought they had a right to just take over. They even tried convincing me to leave a few personal things behind so they could keep part of me there. I'd already anticipated this little move. The house was in my name, something I'd insisted on from the start. So I went to my lawyer and had him draft an eviction notice. When Ella tried to argue, I said, you've both made it clear I was just a placeholder in that house. It's mine now. Then I decided to sell the place entirely. Every room, every wall, every piece of that house that had been part of my life with her. It was a symbolic fresh start, one I needed. But that wasn't even the worst of it. Next came the stunt with our dog. Ella reached out, saying that she needed the dog as an emotional support animal to help her cope with all the turmoil of our separation. She asked for a shared custody arrangement so she could have him on weekends. Here was a dog she'd hardly shown interest in before, and now suddenly he was her lifeline. I filed for sole custody, showing evidence that I'd been the one to take him to the vet, buy his food, walk him. She protested, saying it was cruel of me, and tried to get her friends to guilt me into changing my mind. But this was the last straw. I kept my dog, and if she wanted support, she could look somewhere else. But Ella didn't stop there. She went public, posting a statement on social media. She painted herself as a misunderstood victim, claiming I'd overreacted and made her private issues public just to spite her. She said I'd attacked her character and that I should apologize for ruining her reputation. At first, I let it go, thinking people would see through her story. But then she started twisting things, making up stories about our marriage, and I had enough. I finally posted my own account of events, just the simple, ugly truth. No embellishments. I thanked everyone who'd stood by me, especially those who knew how much I'd put into that relationship. I kept it respectful but firm, just the facts. My post blew up, and people were on my side instantly. Ella tried to keep up her act, but no one was buying it anymore. Her friends unfollowed her, and even her own family reached out to me to apologize for what I'd been through. In the months that followed, I started over. I sold the house, moved into a place that was just mine, without any of the ghosts of that past life. I found myself again, little by little. Friends I hadn't heard from in years came back around, offering their support, inviting me out, reminding me that I still had people who cared. I threw myself into work, hobbies I'd put aside, took up a few new ones, and gradually felt like I was getting my life back. Looking back, I don't feel bitterness, just relief. I'd been letting myself be sidelined for years, letting Ella and Lisa dictate what our life looked like while I was just another fixture in the background. But that's all done now. If there's anything I've learned, it's that people can surprise you in ways you'd never expect, both the good and the bad. Sometimes it's not just one big betrayal that does it. It's a series of little ones over time, each one chipping away at you. I know now that trust isn't something to give away to anyone who seems like they deserve it. You have to protect yourself first, because no one else will do that for you. And so here I am, months later, moving forward. It's not perfect, and I still have scars, but they're just that, scars. Ella and Lisa, they're part of my past, but they don't get to control my future. I have the peace I never thought I'd have, and that's worth more than any apology they could ever offer.